what is the current E-2 processing time for clients and what should they expect? A lot of cases, as you know, there's really two options for getting an E-2 visa, which makes it a little bit different than pretty much any other visa. You can apply directly at the consulate, which is something you cannot do for any other business or professional related visa. Or you can apply at the USCIS in the US if you're here at the time and you're applying for a change of status. So the time frame and timing for both of these options varies quite a bit. If you're applying for change of status in the US, you have to enter the US in some status, tourist or tourist visa, student visa, whatever. And only after 90 days can we file your E-2 paperwork with a request for change of status. Now, you can expedite the processing so that they review it within 15 days. You have to pay extra money for that. And then once that gets reviewed after 15 days and it's approved, theoretically, on the day of approval, the main investor's status will change. Now, the problem is with any accompanying individual spouses or children, their process of changing status only starts after the main investor is approved. And that process for the accompanying spouse and children, that could take anywhere from another 3 to 6 months. So during that time, that extra 3 to 6 months after the investor gets the approval, he or she, the investor, cannot leave the country because his dependence, new status is dependent on his. And if he's out of the country, they have no basis for the change of status. So the investor is kind of grounded here in the US until his spouse and children get their new status. And like I said, that could be anywhere from 3 to 6 months. So that makes for a long period of time when you're going to have to just sit here in the US and wait. So for that reason, sometimes it's not very convenient for people and they choose instead to go to the consulate. There's pros and cons of going to the consulate. Now, in terms of getting the visa, it's generally faster by going to the consulate, right? Again, it depends on the consulate. Turkey, gosh, the wait time is over a year easily. Could be close to 2 years. It's crazy. Most consulates, though, I would say within 2 months, you can get in for an interview. So if you compare the 6 to 9 months you might have to wait for the investor and the family in the US, if you got to wait 2 months and everybody gets their visa and you don't have to wait, I'd say in most cases it's better just to get the visa at the embassy if it's possible. Again, that depends on the wait times in the consulate. Depends if the applicant has any accompanying spouses or children. I mean, if the applicant is single, maybe it's easier for him or her to just come to the US and file here. But I think generally, if there's not an overriding reason not to go to the consulate, I think it's better to do the process at the consulate. You get your visa. Length of the visa could vary from 90 days to 5 years, depending on your nationality. But once you get that visa, you don't have to worry about going to the consulate as long as that visa is valid. Whereas if you change your status in the US, you only get a change of status, which gives you status, but it doesn't give you a visa. So once you leave the US after changing status, you've got to go file for a visa anyway at the embassy. In terms of the overall time frame, I would say even though you can't expedite processing at the embassies and whatnot, generally I'd say it's a little bit faster at the embassies. If you're looking at an E-2 and still trying to figure out all these nuances, please feel free to reach out to us so we can assist you in your journey to make sure you pursue the most effective and efficient path to acquiring your E-2 visa.